Okay. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing out there? This is yours truly, Tyler Tim Johnson and James Flores, and you're joining us at Collect Call From. And tonight we have a very special guest with us on that Collect Call From. Vanessa Romero is a graduate student at San Diego State University through Project Rebound, and she was kind enough to set aside some time to speak with us. Vanessa's journey to success is unconventional, which is why her story is so inspiring. She's justice impacted, a survivor, and a community advocate. And Vanessa, I want to thank you for taking the time to sit down with us this evening. Absolutely. So, I guess we'll just jump right into the questions. We'll jump right into the deep end. Um, so, Vanessa, you grew up a trans-border child with your mother living in Southern California and your father in Tijuana. Can you tell the viewers what experiencing those two cultures was like?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Now, that's pretty interesting. As as a black man, I often, growing up, I often like thought about like you know, my distance between the African continent and just trying to reconcile being African in America with American citizenship. And I never really thought about it growing up, about how a Mexican culture would kind of play out in the household in the United States versus in in Mexico, and how there would be that kind of dichotomy of, kind of feeling like the in between, not knowing where you fit in. And I never really thought about that until these last few years when I started hearing that from a lot of my Mexican friends. So, like I said before, you're attending the greatest university in the history of the planet, San Diego State University. And so there's a great article about you on our university's website where I learned that you attended four different high schools. You've accomplished so much in the academic field that I wanted to ask, what effect did early educational instability have on you? absolutely, and congratulations on your success. That was a perfect segue into this next question. So do you believe that there's a correlation between a lack of educational resources and people who are negatively impacted by the judicial system?
I feel that because of that and wanting to have a better life, sometimes you go the wrong route because you just want to make fast money, and that's where the troubles begin. But yeah, definitely, I believe there's a correlation. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So, why is education important to you, and why should people from impoverished communities value higher education?
I mean, education for me, I think education saved my life. To be honest, I struggled with addiction since I was 14, and I've been, I would get clean on and off and relapse and all that. And it wasn't until I started my educational journey that, because of that, it's helped me stay clean. I think that just also education is important to me because it's an opportunity for me to give my children a better life, better life than I had, and a better life that I had given them prior, to me going to school and becoming the person I am today. So, I think that education should be talked about more, and letting our community
This call
know
and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
That education is possible and it's important because, it gets us out of, the social status that we were born in. For me, I just feel that, thankfully now I am like a role model to my children, and now they could follow my footsteps.
All right, so are you a first-generation college graduate?
Yeah, so my mom actually went to college for one semester, and that's it. And I didn't even know about this until I went into college. And she said, oh, yeah, I tried it. I tried it for a semester, and it didn't work out for me. So the reason that I found out about college was through other people, and it wasn't even through any school or anything like that. It was just I think it was word of mouth. I talked to somebody that had enrolled in college, and they told me you could do it too. And I was just like, yeah, what is that? I didn't even know what college was. I knew it was going back to school, but I didn't know I didn't know the difference between an associate's and a bachelor's or a master's. I had no idea about that. So yeah, it was me having to learn everything by just asking and being finding resources and all that by myself.
So what was that process like? Was that intimidating for you?
Yeah, because I was scared to ask sometimes because I felt like I didn't belong. So it was I thought that they were just going to see through me and be like, why are you even asking about this? You don't even, you don't even belong here. But I had to learn little by little. The process is, just going and asking, and there's people out there that do want to help you and that, support you. And it was by just doing it, because the first, it was so hard for me to actually go and do it because I was so intimidated by like by my self-doubts and also by like things that I was told when I was younger, and you know, just the whole like ingrained in my mind that I wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I watched a TED Talk with Brene Brown a few years ago, and she was talking about our inner critic. And when I first enrolled in college a few years ago in 2017, I experienced what she was talking about, and she said that when you attempt to do something, your inner critic asks two things of yourself. One, it tells you that you're not good enough. And then the second thing is your inner critic asks you, who do you think you are? You know what I mean? And I think a lot of us, you know, particularly from you know, that are minorities or even poor whites that come from impoverished communities, we suffer from that low self-esteem because, you know, we're taught that, you know, by example from what we see, that our station in life is kind of like not the best of the best, you know, that we're not meant to have the best, you know. So that resonates with me. Man, it really resonates with me. So you told us about some of your struggles. You told us about some of the struggles you faced on your way to success. And you told us about the role that addiction played in your struggles. You said you struggled with addiction since 14. I mean, that's a long war to wage, a long battle. If you don't mind telling the viewers, what was the drug that you struggled with in your addiction?
Well, mostly it was stimulants. I mean, I started with coke, and then leveled up to meth. But yeah, that was like my biggest, I guess, hurdle that I had to.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
When I was, you know, growing up, it's not like I did it because I wanted to, or that I wanted to try something new, or I wanted to find, I don't know, a friend. It wasn't because of that. It started because I was hurting from inside. I had gone through some trauma as a child, and that pain made me want to get rid of like what I was feeling, and the only thing that I found that helped was drugs, and it just kind of numbed these feelings that I had. And you know, I didn't start because I wanted to do something fun or anything. It was just so I could numb the pain that I was going through. And sadly, you know, it's not the way to go. But I did, you know, continue to use until, you know, I've been sober now 8 years, but I continued to use till I was like 32. So it did play a big role in my life. But I think that in a way it also helped me get by.
Vanessa, give me one moment, because the call was, you know, these calls only last 15 minutes for Silas's side, so he's calling right back.
Oh. This call is now being recorded. You have a prepaid call from...
Okay.
Sorry about that.
An incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
So
sorry.
So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I don't remember where I left off.
So so you were talking about your struggles with addiction. So I think it's interesting that you clarified that, like, you weren't going out to party, or you know, that you fell into addiction as a result of the trauma that you suffered, and essentially you were trying to cover up, you know, all of the pain from your past. And I think that's a lot of that's the story with a lot of people who fall into addiction is just trying to cover up all of the, you know, the pain and the trauma, and not really having the, you know, the emotional sophistication or the resources to, you know, for therapy, so you can process everything and heal through it, you know. So I think that's really important, you know, for people to understand, as opposed to, you know, the old adage that, you know, that people who fall into addiction are somehow morally inept, or that, you know, this is something that good people, quote unquote, don't do. I mean, we know the science just disproves that completely. So I want to thank you for sharing that, because you can inspire a lot of young men and women out there, because, I mean, you've overcome it, and I applaud you, and you're still standing, and I mean, you not only standing, I mean, you're flying. So I applaud you.
Thank you.
So you said that you were involved you're a survivor of domestic violence. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about that experience and how you came out of that experience?
Yeah. So, I mean, like I mentioned, like I was a daddy's girl, so I spent a lot of time with my dad, and with that was a lot of time in Mexico, and a lot of that I saw, you know, my aunts, and the reason why my mom left my dad was because my dad used to hit my mom. So, you know, violence was always part of my life, and I viewed it as something normal. To be honest, like, I thought if they didn't hit me, they didn't love me. I know it's crazy now. Like, now that I'm saying it, it sounds crazy, but in the moment, it's all I knew. It's all I was taught, and it's all I saw. So when I got into my first relationship at the age of 15, this, you know, he was very abusive, and not just physically, but also emotionally. And I just thought it was, you know, that was my life, and, you know, I had to adjust to it because there was it was normal for me. But eventually I got out of the relationship, only to get into a worse one. My second partner was much worse. Like, he would hit me in front of the kids, and he would threaten me with weapons. I mean, I went to the hospital once, and to be honest, that was like kind of like my eye opening. Like, once I was in the hospital, I was laying in the hospital bed, and I was just like, yeah, this is not normal. This is not, you know, he could have taken my life, and there was plenty of times where I thought he would. And I just needed to get away. But unfortunately, there's not like a lot of resources out there.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
But to be honest, I tried. I would call hotlines, and what they would tell me is like, oh, we don't have a bed available, call us back, and keep checking. And I would do that. Sometimes I would, you know, take off with my kids and go to shelters. But to be honest, I thought that shelters were worse than me having my kids at that, you know, in that environment with this person that was very violent. So I would go back, and unfortunately that led for CPS getting involved, and because of that, I lost my two daughters, my two youngest daughters. I have 5 children, and my 2 youngest daughters got removed from my custody because of that environment that they were in. They were seeing, you know, me get hit every day, and I understand. Like, now I understand it was for their own good. I just feel like there needs to be more resources for women out there that are going through that situation, because I was actually sober for 2 years at that point, and And when that happened, like my world just came crashing down. And like I said, when I used drugs, it wasn't because I wanted to have fun. It was to cover, some pain that I was going through. So that's the first thing that came to my mind when I was going through this situation where I got all my kids taken from me. I felt like I wanted to die, and the only other choice was for me to use, and I did, and unfortunately because of that, like I just went downhill. And by the time I got sober again, I had lost custody of my daughters, and it's something that I do carry with me. It doesn't get easy. It's still something that I struggle with every day, but I have to look at the bright side, and I still have my 3 oldest children. And I just, I keep trying to talk about this as well, because it's something that's really important to me, because I feel like there's not enough resources out there for women that are going through situations like this. And sometimes we just, we go through these traumatic events that could have been prevented, when there should be more resources out there.
Yeah, there should be. I wanted to ask you something, but I was just going to say, when it cuts off and I call back, you can just continue answering the question, and I'll just jump back in and catch you when I call back. So you don't have to stop answering your question for the viewers. I definitely believe that there are a lack of resources, and up until recently, right? Like I was one of and this is through my own ignorance, because as men, I don't think that we, as men, as protectors, I don't believe that we are taught enough about the effects of domestic violence on families, on partners, and so you have people that think how I used to think, and my mentality was, well, if a woman is in a domestic violence situation, all she has to do is leave. And we both know that it's just not that simple. And the only way that I was able to connect the dots with how a woman feels in a domestic violence situation when she's being abused is through my experience as a gang member. And I equate being a gang member, up until 4 years ago, I was a gang member since I was 15. And I'm 46 now. And I equate being a gang member as being in an abusive relationship. I received emotional validation and affirmation, albeit negative, and the only things that I was receiving from my relationship as a gang member were all negative results: incarceration, violence, I mean, you name it. There was nothing positive I was receiving from being a gang member, except for the way that it made me feel. It made me feel loved. It made me feel accepted. It made me feel valued. And so even though the results that I was receiving as a gang member was so negative and so bizarre, and tragic, walking away from that was terrifying to me because of the emotional need that being a gang member was feeding for me. And so by that mentality, by that lens, I was able to understand the trials and tribulations of a woman experiencing domestic violence, because there's a need being met. And on the other side of that, the prospect of getting out of that is so terrifying, because as you just explained so eloquently for the viewers, you modeled what you knew, what you were taught. You had a model for relationships, and you were taught that, hey, this is how relationships go. So I can understand that, and I really believe that we should focus on more resources for women, and you're doing the work of that, actually. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do for women as an advocate?
Yeah, well, I mean, I work with this attorney. I used to work with this attorney, but because of her, I got involved in like a center for women, and I would go and have like panels and kind of share my story and also hear other stories, which are so powerful. And I'm amazed of how resilient humans can be. But a little bit of what I do is share my story. I haven't, I'm a little bit new at this. I've been doing it maybe like a year, because to be honest, I was ashamed of my story. I felt like I was gonna be labeled as like a bad mom, or like you said, there are people that think, why didn't she leave, or why didn't she just get away from that relationship. And I think that that's why I was so scared too in sharing my story, because it is, I felt like I was ashamed of it. But after being involved in these events where I will be on panels and speak about my story and just, connect with women, and kind of, they had questions and I was able to, guide them through some resources that I knew, and, kind of, not even if they didn't even need resources, just hearing them out, because sometimes it's just being there for somebody that's what they want or need. So, yeah, that's a little bit of like what I've been doing in the realm of like trying to stay close to, that part of my story.
Okay. Thank you for that. So I was doing my research, and I read in the SDSU article that you served 10 months in a detention and reentry facility in 2014. Can you tell us how that experience impacted you and helped transform your perspective?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Pardon the noise. The Dodgers just won the World Series.
Yeah.
Everybody's here.
Okay.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Everybody's in the cell losing it.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah, so you served 10 months in a detention and reentry facility in 2014. Can you tell us how that experience impacted you and helped transform your perspective?
Yeah. So yeah, the last time I was incarcerated, I think it was like, I always call it like somebody like pouring cold water in my face, and just me kind of waking up. I think that during that last time I was locked up,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
It was during the time that I had lost custody of my kids, and I was, doing all bad and got caught up in the wrong thing. And while I was in there, I did have, a lot of time to think about like what I've had done, and what the consequences that came with my actions. And also I got to be thankful for what I still had, and not, try to hang on to that. So I think that because of that, I kind of made my stay there more positive, in the sense where I was like, okay, this time I have to like do something different, because what I have done in my past is not working out, and there's 3 kids that need me right now, and 2 that will need me in the future. So I try my best to keep pushing forward, and to kind of just, get involved in whatever the jail had, and, like classes, and I got a certification. And I mean, I just try to put my time into something positive. And I think that's also helped me a lot when I came out this time.
Thank you for answering that, Vanessa. Oh, Silas is calling back. Let me go ahead and patch him on through.
Okay.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah.
So Vanessa, women are often an afterthought when we talk about the carceral system, and that's something we certainly hope to change.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any helpful resources available for incarcerated women?
Yeah, I think, something that helped me was a certification. They had like a culinary management certificate. And I think that really kind of put me on the right path because when I completed that certification, it kind of put me in a position when I came out to be able to use it at a job. And another things that I took from the resources there were like classes. We had parenting classes that, there's no, book to tell you how to be a parent, but, there is things that you could do. And I learned a lot about like what I was doing to my children. I think that's what helped me kind of be more conscious of like the damage I was causing. So I think that was also very helpful. And the other things, they had other programs that I wasn't part of, but they do offer like other certifications and stuff like that.
Okay. So you said that was probably your most impactful program while you were incarcerated?
Yeah, it was the culinary management certificate because it did help and it did come in handy once I got out.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I got a job at a deli shop, and right away when I got out, I was able to find a job.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, and you said something in your interview piece that really resonated with me about healing from childhood trauma and learning to love yourself, and by extension, learning to love others. Can you take us into what went into that process of learning to love yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an ongoing process. I'm still in that journey, but it all started with finding a support group, and to be honest, therapy. I did not believe in therapy. I remember I was in therapy since I was 15, but I always thought I always associated with it's you go to therapy because you're crazy, and I'm not crazy. And also because I'm like, what, why do they care? What do they know about my life? So I always had like this negative association with therapy. But it wasn't until I got, I kind of stepped away from that belief and kind of was like, okay, you know what? Nothing else is helping. Like I've tried it myself and this is not working out and I have to change. Like that was my main thing. Like I have to change because of my kids. And, I kind of let myself go through the process of, going through therapy and having to heal from my childhood trauma, which was, I think, the biggest part of why I was so depressed. And so, all these big life experiences that I went through, negative life experiences, were because of that childhood trauma. And it wasn't until I kind of dealt with it and talked about it and kind of cleared my mind of it. And, you know, I was able to get a perspective from somebody else, you know, letting me know that it wasn't my fault and that I wasn't, you know, that that I don't have to be living and thinking like that. And just also by hearing other people's stories, it was very powerful to know that I wasn't alone, and that, you know, these unfortunately these traumas happen to a lot of people. But yeah, I think one of the reasons why I chose the career I did is because of that, because I know what helped me and I want to be that person for someone else.
Yeah, wow, that's powerful. That's definitely powerful. You mentioned a little bit about why you chose your career. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so so I'm currently a grad student at the Marriage and Family Therapy program at SDSU, and what that degree is going to get me is to become a therapist, and I do want to specialize in addiction and abuse. So that's something that I know that I want to continue working on. So yeah, that program has, you know, it's teaching me a lot of tools and a lot of, you know, different theories, and I'm just like soaking everything in, because I really hope to one day be able to help as many people as I can, and just be that person that was there when I needed, you know, that support.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So after your release, you enrolled in the Southwestern College and completed not one, not two, but 3 degrees in psychology, Spanish, and social work and human services. Now, yeah. I'm an IS3D student at San Diego State, so I'm no slouch. But just reading your accomplishments makes me feel lazy. As a mother of 5, what type of work ethic, dedication, and focus goes into a journey like that?
Yeah, let me tell you, it's not easy. and there's like still a lot of, you know, challenges that come up here and there. But I think that just having this motivation to just be different and do different for my kids is what keeps me going. I think that one thing that stood out to me when I was in a rehabilitation center and I heard somebody speak that was going to college, and they said, you know, like, you guys are all here and you guys all know like the street life and how to hustle and how to do all this, and so, and you're good at it. I mean, you would get your drug no matter what, you still would get your drug. And they said, why don't you put that same dedication and that same hustle into something positive? And you know what, like, once I started doing this whole like educational thing, it was just that same mentality, like, you know what, I'm gonna get this no matter what. But now I put it into a positive thing.
Yeah, I think that's something that everybody that turns out to be successful, that turns their life around. I think that's something that all of us are able to kind of use and weaponize, is that, you know, the same vitality, the same, you know, want to.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
That we've used, whether it be ingenuity as an addict in our addiction, or, you know, the same recklessness and desire and, you know, determination as a gang member to get things done and commit violence or smuggle narcotics, deal drugs, or whatever it is, you know, your poison was. if you take that same drive and that same ingenuity and just flip it and redirect it and take that energy and transform it, you can become wildly successful. And I think we've seen that with a lot of our stories, and you've done it, you know. So, I mean, for everybody out there that's listening and viewing, I mean, if you're on the wrong path right now, and even if you believe that you're successful in doing something that's illegal or wrong, that's going to eventually get you caught up, you can take those same skills, because they're transferable, and find something that's going to keep you at home with your family, that's going to keep you out of prison or out of the grave, and use it to make yourself prosperous. So I think that's a good point that you just made. And one of my favorite quotes is from Sheldon B. Kopp, and it's, all evil is potential vitality in need of transformation. And I think that's something that we all can use. So thank you for that. So you graduate from community college. How did you learn about Project Rebound?
So I learned from Project Rebound through a counselor, actually. And I do want to give a shout out. Her name's Johanny. She was actually a big support in my journey. When I was in Southwestern College, I actually didn't know that there was like a Rising Scholars, which is kind of like the same equivalent to like Project Rebound at a San Diego State level. But neither did Johanny, but she knew of Gabo Vega, who is, you know, part of Project Rebound at San Diego State, and she connected me with him and was like, you know, you should contact him and kind of talk to him about, you know, the resources out there for you. So, you know, I did do that. I reached out to Gabo, and to be honest, from day one, it was just like this, like the way that he presented the program, and then how I went into to San Diego State to visit their center. Just the people there, the whole vibe was just something that I just felt like that was right. Like I just felt like, okay, I belong here. And that's how I learned about Project Rebound. I didn't know about it before, but yeah, once I was there and met all these wonderful people, I was like, yeah, I could do this. Like, you know.
Okay. Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, Gabo was the former director of Project Rebound, correct?
He was the outreach coordinator, and now he's doing bigger things. He's actually in his PhD program, so he had to step down from that position. But, you know, he's still very active in the community and in Project Rebound.
Okay, yeah. Shout out to Gabo. He actually came here for the Vista program for our orientation last year. So that was really cool of him to come out here and show up for us. And so for the viewers that don't know what Project Rebound is, can you tell the viewers what Project Rebound is on the SDSU campus and in general, and some of the resources that they offer?
Yeah, so Project Rebound is the center at San Diego State, which offers support for formerly incarcerated students. So a couple of resources that they offer is they pay for your books. Books are expensive at a community college, so that's like a big help. They also help with parking passes, which are no joke. It's $200 for a semester. They pay for that. They also help with like conferences. Let's say that you're interested in a conference that's related to your field of study, and you let the manager know about, you know, this conference. They help pay for it.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I'm actually going to a conference next week that Project Rebound has paid. It's going to be on urban education, and it's going to be in Cancun. So shout out to that. It's awesome. So that's one of the resources. We also offer workshops about, anything to do from education, like scholarships or grad programs or imposter syndrome. Like, we have all kinds of workshops. And I think the most important thing that we offer is community, because once you're there, it's like they accept you. We all accept each other. We all know we all have similar backgrounds. We all know the struggles, and we just kind of have each other's back. And we've kind of formed like a family where we see each other even outside of school.
All right, so the call was just Silas's call was just disconnected right now. You mentioned that they're going to be holding a gathering in Cancun. Are you going to be going to that gathering?
Yes, so it's a conference,
conference.
Which it's called Urban Education.
Mm-hmm. All right, he's calling right back.
Yeah.
This call is now being recorded.
You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Okay, I'm back.
So I just asked her about if she was going to be attending the conference that was taking place in Cancun. She was in the middle of answering that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was just mentioning how, opportunities like this that Project Rebound offers to the students. Like, if you find a conference that interests you and that, potentially could help you with your career choice or whatever education background you're doing, you could put in for that. And like we just got approved for the Cancun one, which me and another peer are gonna go next week. So I'm super excited about that. Never been to Cancun, my first time.
Man, sounds
I'm thinking
exciting.
about changing my major. That's awesome. You're gonna have to keep us updated on the trip.
For sure.
The viewers see what Cancun looks like.
No, yeah, for sure, yeah.
So you graduated from San Diego State University earlier this year, and congratulations, by the way. Right, that's a huge accomplishment. Can you tell the viewers about the degree you earned and how it felt to obtain it?
Yeah, so I graduated May of this year with a bachelor's in psychology and a minor in counseling and social change. And it was, to be honest, the whole thing was like kind of like surreal. Like, I did not believe it. Like, I'm like, I remember sitting in my chair waiting, for them to call your name and stuff. And I was just like, am I really here? Like, did I really do this? And then I would just look across, because I had my kids sitting on the side, so they could see. And it was my 3 kids, and they were all looking at me, and I'm like, yeah, I did this, and I know I did this for them. And as I was walking to the stage, it's just, this feeling of like, I don't know, like, oh my God, like, I couldn't believe it, to be honest. And it wasn't until like later that I'm like, okay, you know what? I got my degree, and that I posted it up on my wall, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's all me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm sitting here looking at my ag and psychology degrees on my wall from Imperial Valley College, and I can't wait to add that ISD3 San Diego State, and we're supposed to graduate in May. So you definitely welcome. You definitely welcome. All Aztecs are welcome to our celebration.
Yeah.
So you're a part of College Bridge, which helps guide at-risk youth, particularly seniors, towards higher education. What does giving back to your community mean to you?
Well, I mean, I think giving back is everything. It's just, a way of honoring that support I received and paying forward, to others. I think that I didn't believe this, but now I'm getting a sense that, my story can, potentially somebody could hear it and,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
They could possibly go back to school or, just have these aspirations for a better life. And I think that's like what I want to do. I want to foster some change and also, break cycles that from generational trauma. And, I just want to keep paying forward.
Absolutely. We need more ladies and men like you out there, helping pay their fair share and pushing benefits back into our communities, because more people will rise when we start to do that. So I commend you what you're doing. So can you tell us a little bit about the Prison Education Project?
Yeah, it's a volunteer program. If you're in any sort of educational journey, either in community college or university, you are able to sign up to volunteer. And what they do is go into, jails or prisons and juvenile halls and teach on a topic. They have different topics. For me, I think the one that I always choose is college success. I think that education is really important, and sometimes people don't know about the resources out there or the programs, and just kind of getting our young folks educated on college and giving them those resources that could help them, because there is money out there that could pay for your college. There are programs out there that could help, even pay for your rent, especially when they're juvenile, when they're in the juvenile system. They qualify for programs that pay for the rent. So I think that that's why I lean more to that topic. But it's also been a very like humbling experience, because you go in there and it's hard to detach from being a person, because I see these kids and I have kids of my own. So it's just like this, like I want to help as much as possible, but I also put myself in their shoes and when I was their age. So sometimes, I learned that sometimes we're not there to save them. We're there to plant seeds, and hopefully, some of them stick and we make a change.
Yeah, that first of all, I mean, that's incredible what you're doing, and I know that has to kind of tug at your heartstrings and have you in conflict, because you do want people to understand that they have opportunities. And I think it's important what you just said about resources. I think a lot of people from lower economic communities, we all fall victim to a mindset because we don't understand. We're not educated on all of the resources that are available. And, I think that it's really, really cool that, that you're getting out there and letting people know that there are alternatives to what they're doing, and there is a path forward, and it's not impossible, because I mean, it's easy to fall into that state of being and thinking that, you know, that there's no way out, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So you told us a lot about, you know, your experience as a student, and a lot of the volunteer work that you're doing in the community.
Here are a few additional points that could add depth to your responses. Go over to your healing journey. You can...
Sorry, my computer was off.
Okay. So yeah, you told us about like a lot of the altruistic, you know, efforts that you were putting forth in the community and giving back. I was just interested in knowing, how would you like to be remembered?
How I would like to be remembered? Well, I mean, I think that something that I still struggle with is, I don't know, I have done a couple of things in my life that, you know, like the article, and I wrote a play and stuff like that, but I don't feel like, sometimes I feel like that's not what's important. I think what's important is just, you know, breaking cycles and kind of being there for people. And I just, you know, I want to be like that support system that I didn't have growing up and that I really needed. And that also, even after when I had kids and my kids grew up with me not knowing what I know now. So kind of, you know, being there for others, that in a way that I wanted to be there for my kids as well, and that I am now. But, you know, that I did hurt them a lot, and there's like a lot of healing I have to do with them as well. So I don't know. I just think that if there's something I want to be known for, it's just, you know, that I made a positive change, and that I broke the cycle in my generation of, you know, my kids now. I don't know if I mentioned, but my kids, my two older boys are actually at San Diego State University, and they transferred from Southwestern College, and now they're working on their BA. So we're both on campus, and just being able to do that and breaking that cycle where now they're following my footsteps, and it's not of like it's not a question like, do I go to college? No, it's like they just went to college automatically because that's what they saw me do. So once they completed high school, they went into community college, and then from community college, they transferred into San Diego State, and, you know, and I'm pushing for them to, you know, apply for a master's. And I think that just, you know, breaking these cycles that I had to break is what I want to be remembered by.
Wow. So we're talking about breaking generational trauma and transitioning into building generational wealth.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's really important. That's powerful.
Yeah, I just,
so,
you know, I'm.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I'm super proud of my kids right now.
I bet, and I was just gonna. You took the words right out of my mouth when you talked about, you know, them following in your footsteps, because you laid the groundwork, you provided the example, and I mean, there was no other option except to follow right behind your footsteps. I mean, you know, I can imagine how proud they are of you, and going to your graduation and seeing you and just being a part of that and saying, okay, yeah, this is where I belong too.
Oh, for sure. And my daughter's also in community college now, so all three of my kids are in college, and it's something, you know, that they just did automatically. I think that I guess in a way, yeah, they thought I expected that, but it wasn't like I pushed them to do it or anything. It was by themselves, but because of like what I'm paving the way for them.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So James, did you have any questions, James, that you wanted to ask?
Yes, yes, I did. So I wanted to ask you, you were speaking about Project Rebound and how they, help people. Were your kids able to take advantage of any programs that they offered because they were just as impacted?
You know what? We're working on that. Yeah,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Unfortunately, they weren't able to be part of Project Rebound because they weren't directly formally incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't receive that support. They do receive like EOP and other like centers that offer support, but yeah, directly from that program, it still doesn't qualify them. But we are like trying to make it to where it does, because it is like they also suffered through it, like they would go see me behind a cell wall, and they would just like through the window, and then sometimes they were able to like
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Little things like that. It was it's things that they've also endured, and so in a way, we are trying to work towards finding a way that we can also service people that have been impacted by the justice system.
So currently, right now, it's more geared towards people that have been incarcerated, or what are they exactly? What's the criteria? Like, do arrest count for them to be able to get assistance?
This call is now being recorded.
Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson,
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept, thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Okay.
All right. So I just asked her a question. What was like the criteria that one would need in order for them to qualify for the programs offered by Project Rebound?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's really, you have to have been incarcerated before. It doesn't mean like you were charged, but like you were spent like one night behind bars. Like that would qualify you. Of course, they don't like run paperwork or anything like that. They don't check. But yeah, that would be just like the only criteria, is that you would have to been directly impacted. Yeah.
And is there like a time limit on it? Like, let's say if somebody got arrested like 10 years ago and they did like a year in county jail, would those programs still be available to them, or does it have to be within Okay.
No. There's no time limit. You could, been arrested 20 years ago and you come back to school and you were just one day, then that you still qualify for it. Like I said, they don't run paperwork, but it's just, how it works is the grants that they receive for support have like that, underlying criteria that's like they have to be justice impacted directly.
Okay.
But yeah, the time limit doesn't count or anything like that.
All right, perfect. Thank you for answering that and sharing that information for anybody that's listening, or maybe that'll listen to this interview in the future. Hopefully, it helps out. It gets into the ears that need to hear this, and helps them navigate and get on the right path if they need that help.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to mention something real fast. There is like an org in school, which is PRSA, which stands for Project Rebound Student Alliance. And this org is open to the community. So it's open to formerly incarcerated, to justice impacted. to people that are just, curious, or they just want to be, they just want to join and learn more. Like, it's a student-run org, but it's also, a very good resource because we do offer like workshops and connections. We do volunteer work, so it's a different type of program, but it also, brings a lot of it brings support as well.
Thank you for sharing that with us, and I'll go ahead and hand it back to you, Silas. And if you got any other questions, the mic's all yours.
Thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. And thank you for putting those resources out there, so people can access them. We'll try and, if we can, we'll try and put a link up on there, so people can just go on there and see and check it out. And if they're eligible, perhaps they can probably come down and access some of those resources and get back in school and get an education and get on the road to success. I mean, Vanessa's already way ahead of us in the race, but we can try and catch up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to say, first of all, like how much I admire you and the way that you persevered through all of the obstacles that you've endured and come out on the other side of it. I think that it's amazing what you've been able to accomplish, and I think the fight that you have is just, I mean, second to none. As a husband of a woman who is justice impacted, I can't say enough about what it takes for a woman particularly to get back into society and just to reclaim her life. And I'm forever a fan of any woman who has been justice impacted, who's been through the system, who's dealt with, abuse and is a survivor or overcome addiction. Like, I think, you women are like the strongest in our society and are the examples, and I really applaud what you're doing. And I thank you for taking the time to sit down with us. It's been a real honor.
Oh, thank you. Likewise. Thank you for having me and for the opportunity to share a little bit about my story and about the resources that are out there as well.
Absolutely, and don't be a stranger. Come back and see us. We want to hear more about your journey and your degree path and some of the good things that you're doing at Project Rebound and everywhere else.
Yeah, of course, I would love that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off, Vanessa?
No, I mean, I just hope that whoever's listening, just know that that there's opportunities out there. And I don't know, I guess I want to leave with this quote that I love, and it says something like, the only way to predict your future is by creating it. And I just love that quote because it's so true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is true. A little bit of wisdom, little gems dropped on y'all out there. And I mean, as you've seen, I mean, Miss Romero has made it happen out there. And for all of the listeners, if you're in a bad spot, if you're in a bad way and thinking that there's no way out, and things can't get better, they can. And I mean, we hope to provide you with examples like Vanessa, that no matter where you are, no matter how much you've suffered, that you can get up and wake up tomorrow and create a better future for yourself, like she just said. So once again, I want to thank you for joining us, and James, would you like to say anything before we close out?
Man, yeah. Hey, I want to thank both of you, James and Vanessa, for making this happen.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I appreciate you spending this time with us, and I do love that quote. I think I'm gonna have to utilize that and use that for myself in the future.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Well, so thank you, James, for opening up this platform. It's always an honor and a pleasure. I always gain something every time we interact. So thank you for having me once again, and thank you for bringing Vanessa into the fold of the CollectCallFrom family, and we hope to link up again real soon. And so all the viewers, that's it for tonight. And James, you want to send us out?
That's right. Like I said around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And with that, we are out. You guys go ahead and have a good night.
Peace.
Peace. All right.